I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we go back into regular session.
Motion second, we go back into regular session. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. At
Mr.
this time, the chair would recognize Mr. Centeni.
Mr. President, I move that the board direct the superintendent to pursue full and final settlement per the parameters discussed in executive session.
Second.
Motion second by Dr. Chasson. Any questions or discussion from members of the audience? Members of the board? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Motion carries. I'm sorry. Move on to item 3.1, discussion concerning the rezoning a portion of Lafayette High School attendance zone and the Cameron Crowe High School zone to the Northside High School attendance zone. Dr. Chasson. I'm sorry. Oh, that's a consent. 3.2, employees.
Pull 3.1.
Okay. Pull 3.1. 3.2, employee services, discussion and or action concerning the addition of a pupil appraisal mentor stipend in the schedule of supplemental pay rates section of the 2023-24 salary schedule booklet. 3.3, employee services, discussion and or action concerning an adjustment to the resident teacher daily substitute rate in the schedule of supplemental pay rates section of the 2023-2024 salary schedule booklet. 3.4, employee services, discussion and or action concerning revisions to the construction project manager job description. Pull 3.4. 3.5, finance, discussion and or action concerning the December budget to actual revisions for fiscal year 23-24. 3.6, risk management, discussion and or action concerning potential change to policy DJA. 3.7, discussion or action concerning the minutes of the November 8th, 2023 meeting. And 3.8, approval of all consent items.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve all items not pulled.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Yes, ma'am. Second, Mr. Wu. Any question or discussion from members of the audience? Members of the board? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to 3.1, discussion and or action concerning rezoning of a portion of Lafayette High School attendance zone and the Cameron Crowe High School zone to the North Side High School attendance zone. Dr. Chasson.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Centeni. Questions, comments from members of the audience? Members of the board? Yes, sir.
Dr. Chasson,
Yes, sir.
after receiving numerous calls today, and I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight because I mean, this doesn't rezone any of my area. A lot of people asking that we defer this to, I guess, shine a little more light on it.
Okay.
From what I understand, it's not the same plan that was discussed over the summer, and they just like it deferred. So I'm asking you if you'd mind deferring this. Don't worry about the next board handling it. It'll come up. But they'd like public discussion on it, a little more knowledge put out to the public before this is passed, and just wanted to ask you if you'd consider allowing this board to defer it.
So what's taking place, guys, is Northside High School is under 700 kids right now, and there's only 4 directions that a rezone can take. We can go up, down, left, or right. If I go south, I can't go south anymore because my district goes all the way to the Doubletree, to the Hilton. A lot of people don't know that. I go way to Tesh and the old Popeyes buffet. Can't go south anymore. I can't go right because that takes me into Bro Bridge. A lot of people don't know that when you when you leave Lafayette and go to Bridge, there's a sign. It says the Daniel Green Tree Company. Pretty big sign. For me to make it to the folks that live there, I've got to go to Bridge, exit, come around the Waffle House, and I go down that street. I actually campaign down that street for school board. So that street where the Daniel Green Tree Company is actually in Northside zone. So I can't go into Bridge. The only two places you can go is now north and west. So by going north, what's taking place is I'm actually taking back what Northside had as of 2018. So when we redrew for 2016, 2017, what occurred was with the south side shift of the zone, Northside High School gave up the area going north. So we gave up Pont de Mouton, Maryview Farm Road, Butcher Switch, Glory Switch. It was formerly for Northside as of 4.5 years ago. There's kids that live in Country Acres. A lot of people are not familiar with it. If you leave Northside High School past Rosemart, go underneath the underpass. As soon as you go underneath the underpass, right there, which is all of 6 blocks from Northside, those kids now go to Carencro, and it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm just taking back or requesting the board to give me back what Northside High previously had. At the request of the school board member, I checked with him 6 months ago, and the school, they weren't okay with it. They didn't want this to occur at the time. Upwards of about 3 weeks ago, the school and said coaches, the coaching staff, are actually okay with this because it may potentially actually lower their numbers. So as to a smaller school would now move from 5A to 4A. Now, that's the same reason why I'm also requesting to have more kids, because I've got 25 kids on the football team, and I'm a 4A school. So I'd like to have those 80-something kids back. Now, those 80-something kids don't necessarily go to Northside or Carencro as we speak. Those kids go to LCA, those kids go to private school, those kids go to St. Thomas More, those kids go to Turlings, those kids go to Lafayette High, they go to Como. So I'm not gonna get all those kids, but I'm hoping to get some of those kids. So just taking that back. As far as the Lafayette High request, those kids now from 1.8 miles can go to Northside, because depending on what side of Martin Luther King Street that you live on, if you live on the Alice Boucher side of Martin Luther King, you now go to Northside High School. If you stay across the street, which you're 1.8 miles from Northside, those kids now go to Lafayette High. And what I'm trying to accomplish is there's only 2 ways that I can help adjust the numbers for Northside High School. I can try and put a program, which we've tried a program. Everybody is aware that we tried the Health Academy at Northside High School. 2 kids enrolled the first year, and then 1 kid enrolled the next year. So it didn't work. So now the next step is to, as a function of being a school board member, my job is to help balance Northside High School. So Lafayette High having 1,800 kids, there's 199 kids within that small corridor for Lafayette High. That's Truman and the Fightonville area. Those kids would now get rezoned to Northside High School. Those kids don't necessarily go to Northside or Lafayette High as we speak. Some kids go to David Thibodeau, some go to ECA. So I'm trying to affect that change. The only way I can do this is to move that line. And it's not anything that's dramatic. It's knowing that if a kid still wanted to go to Carencro, the rising sophomores can stay. Rising juniors can stay. Seniors will be graduating. Those kids that potentially are in 8th grade, going to 9th grade, those kids can apply for the school of choice. School of choice for Carencro's information technology, there's 58 open slots. So if those kids still want to go to Carencro, they can. And by freeing up 200 slots at Lafayette High School, then they can now encompass a greater number of kids for the Health Academy, because we've always had a waiting list. I mean, everybody tells horror stories about, my kid's on the waiting list, what can you do? So it's just an attempt. I know you guys will address this sooner or later. These are things that have to be addressed for Southside High School, Como High School. It's just before I leave, with the blessing of the school board members and the blessing of the coaches, that's the only way I can affect it. I can't do another school of choice there. I can, but we haven't gotten any traction. So the next thing is to then move the kids. And I mean, we shouldn't function as a 4A school with 621 kids. So even if I can get 80 more kids, there might be 10 more kids for a football team, 5 more kids for a basketball team, and I'm happy to have those kids. There was a point in time where we juggled kids around. They went to Lafayette High, went to Acadiana High. Britt, I appreciated you at the time because what you did was you're like, hey, if nobody wants them, I want them. But we know what they were doing at the time. They were going in the bathroom and locking the doors, and they were fighting, and then coming out and had somebody watching the doors. So these are things that we dealt with. But speaking with everybody, they'd be more than happy to have these kids. Even if it doesn't pass tonight, guys, I mean, this is something that I know you guys are going to look at in February. But the lottery is open till December 19th. We can inform any family that's affected. That lottery will be run on February 6th. And then 2 weeks after the lottery is run, then we reopen those applications as well. And by reopening those applications like we always do, Karen Crowe High School right now has 58 open slots for freshmen and 20 open slots for 10th graders. Any kid who wants to go to Karen Crowe can go. Northside High School has openings. We'll take you. And now we're actually freeing up slots for one of the most sought after academies, which will be Lafayette High. So whatever you guys choose to do. I mean, I got a phone. I spoke to a mayor today. The mayor had serious worries and concerns, and I was able to calm those worries that we didn't cross over I-49. I'm just taking back what we already had. And Mr. Hefner is here. He can actually vouch for this as well. I had these kids as of 2016, and I lost them in 2018, and now our numbers are just dwindling. So just a function of being a board member. That's it. Thanks, guys.
No, Dr. Chasson, it was actually concerned citizens and the coaches that called me today. And Coach Peters can't be here. And he gave me something to read on my phone, but I don't know if it would take more than his 3 minutes. Let's see, for the past 6 months, the representatives agreed to the proposed rezone map outlined on the June 7th, 2023 board agenda, section 3.8. The proposed rezone map on June 7th had the west line of Northside High School stopping at University Avenue, the east line stopping at Louisiana Avenue, and the north line stopping at Pointe de Mouton. I think that was the kicker. It stopped at Pointe de Mouton. I think it goes further now. We agreed to that proposal, and that's what Coach Peters had told me when we talked about bringing it up, that they would support this. And I'm like, okay. The new proposal, according to the December 6th board meeting agenda, has the west line at Northside stopping at I-49, the east line stopping at Sawmill Highway, and the north line stopping at Gloria Switch. This plan is completely different than the proposed plan on the June 7th, 2023 meeting. It also has current inaccurate enrollment numbers for Karen Crowe High School. We currently have 1145 students as of 12/6. Karen Crowe High School has recently improved its school performance score to a B on the SPS scale and has maintained the status for 2 years and looking to continue to grow. Athletics, academics, clubs, organizations, staff retention, and school culture is on the rise at Karen Crowe High. This proposal would completely disrupt that process, along with the discrepancies that exist with inaccurate enrollment numbers, along with the different zoning lines. And I think it's the zoning lines that is the issue this time. So we asked and recommended the board vote on the map proposed June 7th board meeting, or table rezoning discussions to post January 1 and allow the new board to make that decision according to the old lines. So that's what Coach Peters sent. Ms. Mason.
All right. I also have a couple of points of clarification. You said that the Lafayette High, the north side zone goes all the way to the Doubletree and Tesh. Well, I have several friends that live on Tesh, and they're zoned for Lafayette High. So I'm having a hard time reading this map because I can't even see Tesh on there. Is it possible if Mr. Mike, can you decipher I just feel like this is very rushed, and the people who found out on Tesh today are very upset. They do not want to be rezoned to north side, especially without having, I mean, like this went on yesterday. Okay, well earlier you said it went all the way to the Doubletree and that crosses over Tesh. North side? Your voting zone. Okay, so, okay. But also being that this map, I mean, it's just not enough time. I would wish we could defer it just so we could analyze it. I know y'all have been talking about it, but I was not in that discussion. So just a little bit concerned that it's rushed.
And I think, Dr. Shasaw, you and I had a good discussion about this, but as head of the strategic planning committee, I really want to be proactive moving forward. I want to set the dates in advance for next year. I really hesitate to do anything that's a spot zone or a one zone of one area without looking at the whole map. And knowing that we have ARCA bringing another 1,200 students to their school in the fall, as well as another charter application coming next month that we have to vote on. And knowing that our population shifts are happening and that we're going to look at it again in February, I just really hesitate to vote on moving anything until we have a complete comprehensive view of what the future looks like. And I want us to make those decisions moving forward with 5, 10, 15 years in mind of population growth, and knowing that we have the full landscape of schools that are in existence, schools that are growing. Like I said, there's outstanding charter applications. There were charter applications that were rejected that I think are going to be rebrought. So I just don't feel comfortable in making a decision right now. I will say the most disheartening thing is to hear that we have so many spots open in the Karen Crowe Technology Institute. I will tell you the best summer intern I ever hired was a student there. And so I just want to say for everybody in the audience, if you know somebody whose child is interested in technology, please encourage them to apply to that academy. It's open until December 19th. And then if all the spots aren't filled, it'll reopen in February again for a second round. So I just want to say that as an aside. But as the head of strategic planning, I just don't feel comfortable in us doing looking at one issue without knowing every other issue and every other concern. And again, we have parents that haven't been educated on this or haven't vetted, or really disseminated enough for people to feel comfortable. So I don't feel comfortable with that either. So while I understand the issues, and I understand, as somebody who represents Como, I understand, that you've lost population and it has affected so many areas of the school. I want to make sure that we're benefiting the entire parish when we make a decision. So, but we will look at it, and I'm glad you educated us on this issue and brought it to our attention and had those discussions, because I think it'll help us have more information when we make a decision moving forward. So thank you.
Also, I just want to be clear, Timmy, I do agree that we need to figure out better numbers, but also I am on the long range planning committee, and there are several things that we have to address. So even if we were able to defer this, I hate to bring it up for a vote and vote it down and then have to redo something. It needs to happen, but like Kate just said, there is a strategic plan that needs to happen, and so many school zones are involved, and it's going to be contentious, and it's going to be something everyone cares a lot about. And I think that this is just a little bit too rushed to fairly reassign people at this moment. So, but I know that we will bring it back up. I promise you we will bring it back up. So, thank you.
Dr. Shasaw?
So guys, listen. So real quick, the numbers are correct for what Coach is saying, Mr. Latchley. This is from staff. This is also from Mike Hefner's data as well. The coaches, I spoke to them. I had to get the number from Tommy, And then Tommy gives me the number, and then I called them. So I spoke to the coaches. Today? I spoke to them. Tommy, when did I speak with the coaches, Tommy?
Well, I don't remember. What? I don't.
2 days ago, 3 days ago? Yeah.
They were called in today.
This was a request from the coaches. Today I spoke with Tommy and the mayor of Karen Crow to let them know that these are zone lines, guys, that Northside had previously. Like, guys, 4 blocks from Northside, if you live in Country Acres, you go to Karen Crow. Like, I wish I could explain to you guys how close Country Acres is to Northside High School. There's a kid named Janae Thomas that went to Northside High School that could no longer attend Northside High School, and they still lived in the same neighborhood. Bancroft Rose, my high school teammate, lives off of Claus Lane. You're zoned for Northside. He's now zoned for Karen Crow. Brandy Delahousie lives on Tulip Drive, which is a block from Gloria Switch. She was zoned and graduated with me from Northside High School as of 2016, 2017. I'm gonna ask Mike to come up here just to explain to everybody. These are zones that were, these are neighborhoods that were for Northside High School as of the last 15 years, and then 5, 6 years ago, they were rezoned out. So all I'm asking for is to get back the neighborhoods that we previously had. That's my request. The line being Pont de Mouton, that line was never Pont de Mouton for us. I don't care what coach tells you otherwise. I'm telling you for a fact that I'm born and raised on the north side in District 4. And I'm telling you for a fact, it was never Pont de Mouton for us. It was never. That means the kids that live off of Crestline and Judge, that means that the mayor of Karen Crow mentioned, well, listen, I was born and raised off of that. Yeah. I went to north side. So we just lost these neighborhoods about 4.5 years ago. I just want to get them back. That's my only request, guys. Lafayette has had 1,800 kids. The only 2 schools I can pull from, guys, are Karen Crow and Lafayette High. And if one is plus 12 and one is 1,800, like, these are things that are going to have to occur. Just like we talk about Southside High School, nobody wants to talk about it. Either going to build a wing, we'd be allowed to put Butler buildings, but they got to look a certain way, or you're going to rezone it. Nobody wants to talk about it. This is just a function of being a school board member. So it's okay if it gets voted down. I know you guys will bring it up. I got faith in you. But what I'm asking for is, these are neighbor. It's the only direction I can go. So, Mr. Hefner, if you wouldn't mind, please, could you straighten out as far as when? And guys, listen, obviously this is evidence that I'm going to use in my favor. So if you happen to say otherwise, it's not a problem. I'll take the loss. But these are things that I know for a fact. So when did we lose? Where was the neighborhood that we're pulling back from Northside above Pont de Mouton and Country Acres? When was that rezoned to Karen Crow?
Back in 2016, we started working on plans to develop the attendance zones in anticipation of Southside High School opening up. So in 2016, 2017, in 2016, 2017, we had several workshops with the board on looking at not only adjusting your high school boundaries to accommodate for Southside, but also trying to align your middle school and your elementary schools, because you had, memory serves me correct, probably 30 some odd split zones where kids would leave an elementary and some would go to one middle school, some would go to a different middle school. So we tried to clean everything up at that
Yes,
time.
sir.
So it was a comprehensive look. That went into effect in 2018.
Right.
So the line at the time, prior to that, was at Gloria
Gloria
Switch,
Switch.
until it hit Maryview Farm Road, and then it went all the way up to the St. Landry Parish boundary.
Yes, sir. So guys, previous to 2018, I had those neighborhoods. I actually had more neighborhoods. Wilderness Trail goes all the way up to the top of the parish. There's an area to the right of the Wilderness Trail. You know where those kids were zoned before 2018? Ms. Stephanie, where were they zoned?
Northside.
These are kids that formerly went to Northside, guys. And now those kids are zoned for Karen Crow. I didn't even request Wilderness Trail. There's only 6 kids.
Yeah, there was 8 kids.
8 kids on the Wilderness Trail. So all I'm asking for is to try and possibly get the area that was for Northside as of 2018, guys. I'm not asking to take a Como zone or a South Side kid. The only way I can go is back towards where we are. And this zone was for Northside. It was for Northside, guys. It was Northside. And the only way I can get more kids is to rezone them. If they don't come, they don't come. If you build it, they will come. That's all I can do. So whatever you guys decide, I know you guys will bring it up. It isn't rushed. It's only rushed because you may be hearing about it right now. It's not rushed because this does not go into effect until 8 months from now. And rising sophomores, rising juniors still stay. Any kid that wants to attend these schools can still apply for open seats and still go. It does not affect these kids like we think it does. So, that's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask questions? The legal academy at Northside High School, is that full? No, so people that want to apply to the legal academy could get in and go to Northside, correct?
Correct.
If somebody applied for a hardship because they live closer to Northside and don't have transportation to Karen Crow, could they get it? So I don't think that this solution, if we're talking about 80 kids, really needs to be pushed through right now if there's 2 other options for them to attend Northside right now, and then we can discuss it in February and possibly come to the same conclusion. But what I'm hearing right now is that if a kid wants to go to Northside High School and lives in one of these neighborhoods, we have 2 options where they can do it right now. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Aguilar?
Thank you. Dr. Chasson, you make a very compelling case for something needs to be done. And you are correct about where to look for possible students. The only issue I have is that we really have not had notice of this for more than 24 hours, that this was going to be on the agenda. And so I know that we're going to have rezoning in 2024, perhaps some spot rezoning. If not then soon thereafter. I think we just need to put these items before the public, give adequate notice to families, and give them an opportunity to understand what is likely to be considered by the future board. So my vote today will be to either reject or defer this item for action by the new board seated in January.
I'm assuming that you're not making a substitute motion to defer, Dr. Aguilar?
I'm not.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. Heffernan, last time we redrew the lines, Northside was supposed to have 1,300 students. Since then, we lost students. What happened? What happened then that brings us to this point now, to where we're 600-700 students less than we supposed to have or we should have?
Well, that's a good point, because that's what I was actually just looking to see what the numbers were back then. But it was around 1,300 is my recollection when we did the high school planning. So you have lost a lot. There's probably several factors that fall into that. One is the area, the neighborhoods in the Northside zone are aging out. You're having that in a couple other areas too. They don't have the kids have grown up, they've moved away, the parents still live there. Until those houses change ownership and new families move in, you're going to not have any more kids coming out of some of those neighborhoods. So they're aging out. It'll be a while before you start seeing kids come back in. Second thing is you now have the academies, which kids are taking advantage of. You take a look down the road at your STEM academy. A lot of the kids that actually would have normally gone to Northside, because they live in that zone, are actually going to the STEM academy. The other thing is you have a very active charter school over there that just recently added high school grades to it. So now you're having some of the kids, instead of going into Northside are now going into ARC. And then you also have the LCA, the Christian Academy, right over there, that actually pulls in quite a few kids from the north end of town as well. All of those factors are contributing to the fact that Northside's coming down as far as its residential enrollments.
What is a realistic number if we make these changes that's proposed by Dr. Shashon? What is a realistic number that we're looking at?
I would be surprised if you get 60% of them actually show up, 60% of what's there now. If you had 100 kids that are, say, we're going to reassign 100 kids right now, I would think you'd be doing well if you got 60 of them to actually move. That's just my gut feel for it. But while we are talking about numbers, let me just explain real quick, because it was brought up about the enrollments. We're using your October 1st MFP numbers on here. So those are going to change a little bit. We're already 2 months into that. So those are the MFP numbers. I use those because they align with what you report to the state. These are based on residency. I also make the adjustment for those kids that are in the academies. So if they live in the Northside zone and they're going to the STEM, they're assigned at the STEM Academy, not at Northside numbers. If they're going to the Health Academy, they're not, and they live in the Northside zone, they're not counting in these Northside numbers, they're counting in the Lafayette High numbers. So I take the Academy kids and I put them at the school that they enrolled at. That way you have a more accurate number. But you will have some variation as time moves on from that October 1 number. So it won't be a whole lot, but these are all going to be illustrative as we move through and look at other options into the coming year. That's what the basis is going to be on.
Question. So this is based on the October MFP numbers. Superintendent, do we have the current enrollment at Northside and all the schools listed here in this list?
Ms. Gardner?
The current enrollment for population today, but the current enrollment for the students that it would impact, yes. So the current enrollment at Karen Crowe High School that it could possibly impact, that would be rezoned, would be 173 students. And for Lafayette High, today's current impact would be 166.
Okay, and do you also have the current enrollment at each, like at Northside, Karen Crowe, and Lafayette High, the current today's enrollment?
Not off the top of my head, my best guess could be Northside would be close to about 590 to 600. My best guess for Lafayette High today would be about 1,800. And for Karen Crowe would be about 1,100, 1,165, something like that.
Thank you.
Dr. Chesson?
All right. 10 seconds, guys. Looks like the votes don't add up here, which is okay. It's okay if it fails, but the short notice that we're talking about is you're actually having the opposite effect. You do it now while the lottery is open. You do this in February, which is where it's proposed, the lottery's closed. So you do it now, and then 8 months from now, these parents have, the longer that you wait, you're shortening the time with which they have to make a decision. So you do it now, because this is something that we have to do, guys. You have to do it. There's nothing else to do. You have to do it. If a school has 1,800 kids, then you decrease the population, and then in hopes to increase the population. You have to do it, guys. Whether you want to do it now or not, the new board is going to do it, the old board can do it, but we have to do it. That's it. Thanks. Appreciate y'all listening to me.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Barrett?
So what's the plan if Northside continue to decrease? I mean, we can't have a high school with 200 students in it or 300 students. And from what I see in the future, that is exactly what's going to happen. So I'm not sure if the decision needs to be made today. And I know that you guys serve on that committee. So it's really something that needs to be put on the table now and be looked at. And we need to make a decision, because this is serious business. So as Dr. Sashon said, you do it now, you do it later. But something has to be done. Thank you.
You rezone the incoming 6th grade, 7th graders, and 8th graders in hopes that some of them who don't choose a school of choice attend Northside High School. And as well, I'm confused. What's the long-term strategic planning committee? What is that? I've never heard of that before. What is that?
It was a committee that was set up to look at future numbers that Mr. Hefner had put together for us and look at what maybe we need to look at as far as facilities and different projects that are moving forward. And it was something that Superintendent Trosclair had started, and she had assigned certain people to that particular committee, and we looked to move forward with that committee as far as looking at things with this new board.
Okay.
If there's no other comments, I think I'll call for the vote. I think I think maybe we should vote individually instead of just yea or nay. I'm sorry. I'll do a voice vote. And I'll start with you, Timmy.
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
No.
Doc? Mary?
Yes.
Yes.
I abstain. Four yes, four no, the motion dies. Discussion or action concerning revisions to the construction project manager job description. Mr. Touchet, Dr. Aguilar?
Yes. I'd like to move that we defer this item.
Motion on the floor to defer this item. Can I get a second? If no second, then the motion dies. I guess you've accomplished what you want to do, Doc.
Yeah, it's still, you can still act on it.
I'll second.
Not without a second.
I'll second
Oh, okay.
for discussion.
Any discussion?
Yes, thank you. The recommended changes to the job description for construction project manager is rather curious because it calls for an individual to be selected pursuant to a new job description where the job description removes the requirements to have any construction experience or knowledge of construction contracts, construction methods, or understanding of technical drawings and specifications. So what I've sensed in this new job description is we've stripped out all of the items that have anything to do with construction, and I'm curious about how does that help the school system?
So, board members, the reason why we've resulted to striking out these various things that Dr. Aguilar stated is that we have put up this position several different times. And we've actually had the pay scale to where it was something of which we hoped would attract certain people to come in. We have not had any results whatsoever. What we have heard is that people maybe with experience in the field that would have an understanding of construction, that we would be able to bring someone in like that, they would be able to learn under our system. And this is a person to where we have over 200 projects that are happening in this district. And our director needs to have someone out there checking and making sure that these projects are proceeding and doing different things. So Dr. Aguilar, this is just so that we can make sure that we're getting someone to be able to fit the needs, because we looked at exactly what you said, is trying to get someone out there. No one applied whatsoever, and it was just something of which we're seeing that the need that we really have pushed the scale down to is someone to be able to get out there in the field and be a right hand for our director of construction.
I appreciate that. However, I think that you could consider revising the qualifications such that we're looking for someone who has some construction knowledge to begin with. We're not taking somebody and offering them an on-the-job training position. You stripped out 5 years of experience in commercial construction. You stripped out 3 years of experience as a project manager. How about listing 3 years of experience in construction as a qualification so that you're not offering this job to somebody who has little or no experience other than, let's say, they've installed gutters, residential gutters. That would qualify that person for this new position by the school system. And so I'm concerned that we have reversed direction completely on this job description, and we're not looking for anyone with serious construction knowledge.
Yes, sir. Latchley?
Dr. Aguilar, I'm going to support this for the fact of the people involved in the department. This is the direction they want to take, and they want to move. And I don't know how to properly say this, but in the past, this was a system that would take individuals and put them in positions that, coming from a classroom or administrative position, had no clue. Okay, and I'm talking years back. But when I was approached and talked to about this, as we, you know, with the reorg and just in general conversation, the gentleman in charge of this department feels this is the right direction. And this is small projects. This is building pavilions, slabs, these small projects that are not getting pushed through right now. We're so backlogged. So my opinion, if you're a meticulous individual with management experience, dealing with people, knowing how to talk to vendors and so forth and so on, I'm going to support this to give the individual in charge of this department what he needs, because I've got a lot of small projects that's got to roll. So deferring this or pushing it back, we defer it, we'll bring it back up January 3rd. But I guess we can vote on the deferral, but if that fails, I'm going to come back and make the motion that we go ahead and approve this. You know what I mean? I don't want to make a substitute motion on top of your motion, but.
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Not a problem. I just want to make sure we understand there's about $200 million already budgeted in about 150 small projects. And I don't think you go into that hoping and praying that you select what you believe is the best candidate for the job based on this new job description that requires absolutely no construction knowledge. That you could do much better by loosening the requirements so that you are fishing for somebody who has the expertise to be developed by the system in due time to do what you're asking them to do. But you've left yourself open to anybody, literally anybody, would qualify for this job. In fact, Mr. Angel and I built a shed. I believe I know I have the experience now, and he already had the experience to be a construction manager. So I just think we need to do a better job with the qualifications for this job description.
Dr. Aguilar, I think what I'm going to do, what I'm doing, is allowing the person in charge to hire the right person to do the job. We're not just going to go out on the street and say, you. Let's put a little confidence in the man that now runs that department, who I think wants to come up and speak. That's what I want to allow, to let him do his job, or let him, come on up, Mr. Rob.
Okay. Good evening, Board, Mr. President, Superintendent. So for those that don't know, I'm Robert Gotra. I'm the new Director of Construction, Maintenance Facilities. Under the reorganization of this position, and I am new to this position. I'm coming from being a teacher, from being an assistant principal. I don't have an extensive background in construction, but over the last 3 weeks in this position, I've seen where the need is. And I understand where you're coming from, Doc, on this, but My job in this position right now, where my priority needs to be, I need to be writing contracts for those 200 jobs we have. This week, I was at a school painting white lines on the ground for Dottie to come in and mark the ground so a pavilion can be put up. So the priorities need to be in a different area, and knowing what I know about construction and jobs right now, it's hard to find people in construction jobs that have experience and pull them into this position. Like, if they have any experience in construction, they're getting a job with a contractor right now. So what I need is the ability to find a person that I can work with and show them how to do things. This job is going to be considered sending them out on job sites, taking pictures of what's going on, progress. When we get a pay app and a contractor wants to be paid, send this person, has this been done? And I can teach that person, check for these things, take pictures, send them to us. I just need someone I can send on job sites, so I'm not the one doing it, because I have higher priority things that I need to be doing to get more jobs rolling. And I understand, and the thing about this is going to be, we're not going to hire a person unless we know they can do what we need them to do. The requirements of the previous job description, I think they went 3 years with nobody even applying for the job. And if you have 3 years of construction experience right now, you're going to go get a job on a construction site making big money. So we're not getting applicants at all. And it's just an option to possibly get some applicants. Again, if we don't have the right applicant, we're not hiring them. But we need to open it up so we may get applicants, and they're trainable, and we're going to train them. And our goal with this is we train people, and once we get them trained, they're going to make progress for us better. We have 200 jobs that are going on. We're about to go through capital outlay for next year, so we're going to add another 50 or 60 projects to the list. It's a lot, and we're very shorthanded. There are 2 of us right now handling it, and I can't write the contracts, which take time, if I'm out there painting lines on the ground when I could train somebody to do that. And that's just where I'm coming from with it, Doc. Any questions for me?
Mr. Centetti?
I just want to say that it seems to me that perhaps the job title is wrong.
It may be.
Construction project manager, that doesn't sound like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It sounds like someone, especially given the qualifications that we're changing to, it sounds like maybe we have somebody with a little bit more generic title that we're looking for, which might also contribute to why you haven't gotten any applications for this job. I'm just listening to you talk and listening to Don talk, because I don't think either of you is wrong here. Right? If we're hiring a construction project manager, then, well, I should hope they have experience in construction project management.
Yeah, and this job description was written before I came in, all the versions of it. And honestly, the title of the job, this person should become a project manager with us with time. It's something they're going to grow to, because what we have in the list of 200 projects, I have 2 people with me, 3 if you count our maintenance guy. I should be able to assign projects to them that they follow through from start to finish. So the project manager part is what they're going to be doing. The first jobs may not be handling a whole project from start to finish, but with time, that's where they need to be. And from what I'm seeing in this, in the learning curve in it, we'll get them there in a fairly short period of time. So they would be a true project manager in a very short period of time. And we need to have that person, and I think the project manager title, when we send a person to deal with Lemoyne and Iberville and Bernhardt, they need to be able to deal with that project manager type person. We're going to get them there. We just need somebody, because until we get more people on, we're not going forward with projects. And we have the money, it's sitting there, and we need to just move forward and get some progress. Example, one of the main things we're focused on right now, any school that has kids walking in the rain, we want to get covers over them. I can't write the contracts right now because I'm out there marking lines for somewhere. If I could have someone out there doing, and I'm just saying mark lines, that's just the beginning. They're going to have to go out there and know materials, be able to count the materials, know what it's for, identify different types of materials, but that's stuff that you learn. I was a teacher for 20 plus years. I'm ready to teach somebody that can do the job the way we need it to be done and efficiently, because the other side of this that I see in construction, being around some construction, sometimes you take people that know things, but they know it the wrong way. This is a person that will be able to train them in the way that what we need them to know. So, because construction does work different than an education system. If we get somebody that's too construction related, it's hard to break them of that thought process and get them understanding the education side of it also, that we're working for public people, public money versus private in construction. So there are some differences, and like I said, I'm only 3 weeks into this. I've been telling people it's like drinking through a fire hose. I've learned a lot in the last 3 weeks, and it's just my view on where we are now, but I'd like to get this person as soon as we can.
Yes, sir, Dr. Aguilar.
Just one more comment. I absolutely believe you need help.
Yeah.
When I was superintendent, we had a backlog of construction projects. It was frustrating because we just did not have the personnel to keep that going and get projects done in a timely manner. As a school board member, I sense the same frustration. And I know that this one person you're trying to hire is not going to solve this problem. Your job description, as proposed, is flawed. The job title is flawed, and what I'm asking you to do is defer this until January 3rd, where you can clean this up and bring this back to the board, and everybody can feel comfortable that what you're asking for is something that makes sense pursuant to the job description.
All right. Board members?
Any other comments?
Any other questions for me? All right, thank you.
If not, we'll call for the vote on the motion. Your motion is to defer, right, Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
I'm going to call for a vote on the motion to defer choosing this individual. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. I'm going to call roll call. Dr. Chasson? The motion is to defer, yes.
Yes.
Harriet? No. I vote yes. Yeah. No. Yes. 5-3, the motion passes. Motion fails, I'm sorry. I mean, the motion is deferred. If I look confused, that's because I am. Okay, recognition of board members.
Good evening. At this time, we're going to begin with a few recognitions. We're going to start with the Distinguished School Board Member designation. Right now, we would like to honor Dr. Aguilar. When you become a school board member on the first year of your school board term, if you get an equivalency of 16 hours upon your first year and 6 consecutive hours each year of continuing learning units, you become a Distinguished School Board Member designee. So congratulations, Dr. Aguilar. We're going to go ahead at this time and also honor Dr. Aguilar, if you'd like to remain up there. We are going to honor Dr. Aguilar for serving District 9 as a few highlights. Over the 4 years that he has served on the term, he has advocated for additional classrooms and the Holbeo Elementary School. He has invested in Broussard Middle's core rider Q, Parent Q, and replacing the athletic lockers and gym floor at Broussard, which was very well needed. Southside softball and baseball dugouts, restrooms, concession buildings, the storage shed for football and baseball. Huge improvements to traffic Milton on the congested highway. He is very proud of Southside High winning their first district 5A championship in 2022. And all of that, he is very pleased that the academic achievement in his zone continues to increase, and he is very glad to see the leadership continue under Jeremy Hidalgo beginning in 2024. And we expect that you will enjoy full retirement, Dr. Aguilar. Thank you for your years of service. Mr. Elroy Broussard, we would like to recognize you for honoring District 3 all these years. He has served 9 years with us from 2015 to 2023. When we asked Mr. Elroy what he would like to be remembered for, one of his main things was this new Truman Early Center, how proud he is of this new facility. He is proud of the stipends he advocated for to give teachers who work in at-risk schools, giving principals the autonomy to hire the staff of their choosing, naming 2 schools after African-American leaders who deserve their legacy to be remembered in their role in education for E.J. Sam and Dr. Raphael Barinko. He has additions that were added to Alice Boucher Cafeteria, library and restrooms, those covered walks that we were talking about to J. Wallace James and all those new car riding lines they're planning. He's very dedicated to Lafayette Middle, remembering our former educator, John Prejean, by renaming the the auditorium after him. He is proud that he's created and supported diversity upon our LPSS administration. He's raised the bar of our educational system that we have no failing schools, and that he has been an advocate for implementing African American studies at all middle and high schools as a year-round course. Thank you for your service. As he goes on to be the city councilman in District 1. Miss Morrison, who has served in District 1, we'd love for you to come down. She has been serving for 9 years, 2015 to 2013. She is the first African-American woman to serve as board president on the Lafayette Parish School Board. Not only was she the first board president, she also embraced it during COVID, an international pandemic. So what can we say about that? She has advocated for her school district, including when the great flood of 2016 came in and we had to turn over West Side and rebuild. She is always advocating for student safety. She has helped create balanced budgets, always putting our students first. She has supported all new construction in 9 districts. Not only is she an involved board member, but outside organizations that continue with Women of WOW, the Junior League, Kiwanis Club, Love Our Schools. Miss Mary, we wish you luck on all your new endeavors. Mrs. Santani, District 6. He has represented us for 9 years, from 2015 to 2023. Come on down. We are. So, Mrs. Santani, he can tell you all about the details of our system, from transportation to the budget. He developed this pay-as-you-go debit planning to increase the opportunity to build all our new facilities. Our faculty improvements have been a main focus since day one, including removing as many portable buildings as he could, which in 1 year was 169. He advocated from the get-go for teacher pay raise yearly to be competitive with other school districts. He has focused continually on our French immersion program and all our cultural programs here in Lafayette. He has involved community and stakeholders in town hall meetings when developing new schools, which is very important to him because he felt the stakeholders needed input. He has deep dived into our LPSS budget, understanding each and every cost center line. He focused on increasing that communication. He advocated for the installation of the air conditioning buses, which is currently underway. And he has been and will always be known as the driving force behind the new Lafayette High. Good luck as a parish tax assessor, and we appreciate you. Dr. Timmy Chasson, 13 years, 2011 to 2023. I did not include your age when you began. 29. He was young. We want to remember him. When I asked him today, definitely at the top of the list, 15 years of the Christmas Toy Drive. He has collected over tens of thousands of toys for our students here in Lafayette, which is currently going on in our schools. He loves to go ahead and be remembered for recruiting of our former superintendent, Irma Trosclair, who came in and turned over our district and actually hired their current team. He has a huge support and a continued relationship with Love Our Schools, and we do not see that subsiding anytime soon. He has shared his own experience with Lincoln Learn Project and how it impacted the Holy Family community, which he actually lived in at one point with his own family. His greatest accomplishment, I would say today, when he beamed through the phone, you could feel it, North Side becoming an actual C and being 1.5 points from becoming a B school. He is also very proud of the E.J. Sam, which is a non-traditional school for school students who are either over age, need to work at a different time during the day. He advocated for another school to be opened K through 5 in his area, which we turned MP Moss Annex to the Dr. Raphael Baranco, who had a personal meaning to him as someone who impacted his life and shaped it. We renamed MP Moss to the 207 by Acadiana Mall. He has fought not only for equity for all students in his district, but across the school district. He has, from day one, focused on improving academic funding and achieving in all schools, but especially his struggling schools. He continues and will always advocate for his gifted program. We wish you the greatest endeavor as the state representative for District 44. And last but not least, Mr. Tommy Angel, who has 13 years of the board. He served from 2011 to 2013. The interesting fact is he also has 41 years as an elected official. He has served as a councilman, a mayor of Scott, and now the school board. Karen Crow, I am so sorry. Had to mess up somewhere. But you saw how he caught me going down. But the next sentence should make up because he is focused not only on the district, but on the students and stakeholders of his beloved community of Karen Crow. He is very proud of the completion of Southside High, the reconstruction of Lafayette High, and the new Prairie in Truman. He has always been focused on supporting the school system from moving from a C district to a B, and with the intention that eventually we are going to be that A. When asked what he is proud of his superintendents, he is very proud of hiring of 3 superintendents, Dr. Aguilar, Ms. Trosclair, and our current superintendent, Mr. Chushet. He is proud of all of the 9 school replacement wings. We replaced those 139 classrooms in 1 year. The construction of Truman. He is thrilled to see the opening of our new Karen Crow Heights, which was renamed to Karen Crow Bob Lilly, which will be opening over Christmas, and the students will be arriving on January 4th. We sit in this boardroom as he was board president, and he advocated and allowed us to do what we needed to do to turn over our new district office. Most importantly, he is also, for our veterans, he established Memorial Day as one of our official school holidays during his term. Not only has he been on the school board, he has served as board president in 2015, 16, 22, and 23, and vice president in 2014 and 2021. Mr. Angel, all I can say is enjoy that full retirement now and your travel. Thank you for your years of service.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to invoke personal privilege, if I may, and ask my family to please rise. I'd like to introduce them. To my left is my youngest daughter, Michelle. My oldest daughter, Michelle. My young wife, Dorothy. My youngest daughter, Anne Marie, and my son, Tommy Jr. Mr. Superintendent.
We've already taken care of 4.2. We can move on to 4.3.
The board regular meeting for January 2024 will be on Wednesday, January the 3rd at 5 p.m. If there's no other business, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Mr. Angel? Yes, sir. Would it be rude for me to say go Navy, beat Army?